Ah, yes, Magnum, a legend of coaster constructed in 1989 by the famous defunct coaster manufacturer, Aerodynamics. You see, Magnum is a very, very important piece of coaster history. Everyone knows that. This is because Magnum XL-200 was the world's first hypercoaster, which is any coaster between 200 to 300 feet in height. And although Magnum is a very important coaster, people still have very, very differing and different opinions on whether it's actually a good coaster. This can range from people having Magnum in their overall top 10 in their credits list, or they can hate it so much that they just decide to skip it when they go to Cedar Point. So today we're going to be discussing whether Magnum XL-200 is an elite coaster or just another rough era of trash heap. After that, I'll give a personal review and rate it 1 out of 10. Well, let's get started. And to clarify, this is just my opinion. If you disagree, argue with me. I'd love to see it, and it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. So, Magnum XL-200 is an Aerodynamics hypercoaster, opened to the public in 1989. There have been a few modifications since opening, like changing changing brake zones and adding upstop wheels instead of pads. But overall, the coaster and its structure are very original. Magnum stands 205 feet tall with the first drop around 200 feet, hitting a top speed of 72 miles an hour after the first drop. Not to mention the stunning views you get from the slow but steady 200-foot tall lift hill. After the first drop, Magnum rises back into a curved camelback, I guess you could call it. It's an airtime hill that curves to the left. This hill gives decent floater. After cresting the hill, the train flies down to the left and through a tunnel. After another airtime hill with decent flow ejector, this coaster enters its signature turnaround. The turnaround provides decent laterals, but it's not taken too fast that it's uncomfortable for the riders. After it exits the turnaround, Magnum traverses one or two more airtime hills. Then it turns to the right around the bend, I guess you could say. The trains then hit a series of very, very sharp ejector hills, giving insane ejector airtime. After going through a tunnel with some flashing lights and one last ejector hill, the train slides into the brakes. Sounds fun, right? I think it does, but some people don't think so. Personally, Magnum is in my top 10, but others absolutely hate Magnum. This is due to its unnatural roughness and extreme ejector hills. Aero coasters kind of have a tendency to get rough quickly, and that is definitely the case for Magnum. So you see, Magnum XL-200 was built when coasters were still designed by hand, so the angles and banking aren't nearly as smooth as elements on today's coasters. The track was also bent on site and put together on the spot. If the track didn't line up right, they just warm it up and bend the track some more. But at the time, Magnum was a pinnacle of engineering, and it still is a structural masterpiece to look at. All that, plus Magnum being almost 35 years old, causes it to be one of the roughest coasters at Cedar Point. The trains hit multiple potholes throughout the course, and it has a little rattle at times. And many people also do not like the ejector hills at the end of Magnum. You see, Magnum has lap bar restraints, which typically give the rider more airtime. But the restraints on Magnum aren't very soft. They're kind of hard. And they dig into your thighs pretty bad, especially on the ejector hills. Many people consider the hills actually painful, and I can understand that. But not everyone has a bad opinion of Magnum. Many GP and coaster enthusiasts alike love Magnum, and it may not be the biggest or fastest coaster even in the park, but it still holds up as one of the best coasters in the world. People like me absolutely love Magnum, especially the insane airtime this ride gives you. Many people have Magnum ranked very high on their credits list, including me. Magnum manages to be one of the best coasters ever, and I just love all the airtime. The first drop is pretty good, and Magnum hits a pretty solid top speed of 72 miles an hour. That feels pretty fast on an old Aero, and yeah, it's kind of scary, but if you can look past the roughness, you'll find Magnum is a fun, fast-paced, and very forceful ride. You see, Magnum has a very, very special place in my heart. That's because it was my first really big, thrilling coaster, I guess you could call it. Magnum is just so thrilling and exhilarating, it really puts you on the edge. It also kind of it kind of feels like it's trying to kill you, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. But do you guys think Magnum has what it takes to be considered elite? Magnum holds a very important part of coaster history, which I already said, and that automatically kind of helps its case. But, I mean, they may be missing good theming, but I mean, oh well, you don't really need that. Magnum has a very large fan base, and lots of people absolutely adore this coaster. Some people hate it, but I believe the good outweighs the bad in this situation. Combine these factors with an outstanding ride from a classic coaster, and we have our answer. I believe Magnum XL-200 is an elite coaster. It's just such a good and fun ride filled with lateral and negative G-forces. It's just one of the best coasters out there. If it's still competing with the likes of newer coasters 30 years younger than it, and it's still almost competing and beating better them, it has to be pretty good to do that. So yeah, Magnum is elite. If you guys can't tell, I absolutely love this ride, and that will always be one of my favorites. Like I said at the beginning, I would rate Magnum. So obviously the roughness brings down the number slightly, but the great ride experience, layout, and airtime, and pure fun of this coaster bring the number back up. So in conclusion, I'm going to give Magnum XL-200 an 8.75 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more like this, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. If you disagree with anything I said, or if I missed anything, make sure to comment below. Thanks for watching.